contacts out there. She has massive.
The neurologist, the neurologist said it was the second worst one.
Yeah. Tim.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you saw it. I don't know. Brian's.
Darling, how come you're?
I'm just so upset.
Me too.
All right. Suck it up.
Just make. Brian. Yeah, I kind of like that side. Shout that out a little bit. It's like, for employees.
Especially.
Steve, you gotta sell out.
What?
Park in the park.
Oh, no, close. Got about 100 tickets there.
That's good. You'll get those if you don't.
96.
I know for-
Start to walk. Okay, 6:15. Finance Committee will come to order. The only thing we have on the thing is to consideration of the separation of the position of city recorder and finance director. I make this short and sweet. We're going to have to look at this, see if it is possible. I want to look at it. We're just looking at it at this point in time, based upon the number of regulations that the feds, state, and everybody else is putting down on us, and talk about it and see if we need to, and if we do, how we do it. But first, we don't have job descriptions or anything, and that would have to conform to the control the 2016 controllers comprehensive financial policy, which is a 43-page document that I wouldn't even attempt to interpret. But I've asked our legal counsel to look at that and see if he can talk with the comptroller's office and see if this is possible. We know it's possible. Other cities do it. They have two positions. We have had it as one position for many years. So with that, I'd like to have any other input from the committee.
There may be some direction out there from MTS and the controller or the controller's office in existence in terms of job descriptions and that sort of thing. I'm not versed in that language or in that area of fiscal policy, but I'll be happy to reach out to those who are.
Okay.
I know that there are municipalities that have different assignments to different titles within the fiscal policy, but I don't claim any inside knowledge.
Zach, you got any questions?
I know Libby's not here tonight, but she did contact me at the end of last week and discuss this, and she does recommend that we do this. And from the HR standpoint, I think it's something we should take seriously. And I would propose that for the next meeting we have job descriptions available for us to review.
Well, that's going to depend on how quickly we can get the controller involved in this, because job descriptions of this nature are mandated by, I think, the 2016 joint plan. Is that correct?
All I can tell the board is that in 2016, the board adopted a fiscal management plan which was mandated by the state comptroller's office, which in turn had been mandated to the state by the federal government. And the board at that time, 2016, if memory serves, adopted a fiscal management policy that has lots of detailed information in it, including probably job descriptions, that consist of 40 some odd pages, but it's a matter of our public record.
Okay.
Well, we have the two positions. It shouldn't be too difficult to take those positions and separate them. Furthermore, we have other cities that have done this, and I'm sure we can call upon them and get examples of their job descriptions. I think it's appropriate that we would be able to keep this moving forward,
Sure.
meeting to meeting.
Yeah, I just want to do it right if we do it. Okay, that's the only thing.
Absolutely.
Certainly makes me feel better that other cities do it because I can I mean, I don't know very much about either one of these two positions, but I can certainly see that there's got to be a lot of overlapping of responsibilities there that would make it very difficult to separate it. It seems to me like, not that we can't do it, but I don't think it's going to be extremely easy.
I have seen something, and I'm not sure of the source, but I think it was from MTS that made reference to some other municipalities, even of comparable size, that had divided, and it's not just two responsibilities. There are 5 or 6 different specific statutory duties imposed on under the policy, including custodian of records, general accountant, director of accounts, there's recorder per se. There's at least 5 or 6 different jobs or titles. And I have read that they have been divided even in cities of comparable size. So it's been done. It's not like we're reinventing the wheel. I just don't want to reinvent the wheel. I would rather use something that has been tried and true.
I agree.
This eventually will be a board decision. I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I'm just, it needs to start in finance because this reports through finance. And that was the only reason that we brought it up in the finance committee. So,
I do think there's a time issue here. You know, again, I'm not trying to rush anything, but I think we can do due diligence and because we do have coming into the new year, as I recall, Nolan, your strategic plan last year utilized a number of months prior to July 1 for development of budget.
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, you know, in terms of these roles, it would be, I think, judicious of us to make sure that, you know, everybody knows their roles before the budgeting process starts. So I do think there's a time effect that we should.
I don't have any problem with that, but I want to do it. If we do it, I want to do it right. I don't want to violate anything from the controllers. I don't want to violate any state laws. I don't want to violate our internal policies. But I agree with you, you know, the sooner the better. But again, I don't know which cities do have this particular setup, but I know that data is very available, so we'll start it. Steve, you have any more comments?
Nope.
If not, there's no other business come forward.
So
Finance.
just
I'm sorry,
in
go
terms
ahead.
of actionable items.
Mhm.
So what's the actionable item from this?
Getting with Tim to talk to the controller's office to set up a procedure for doing this. Okay, I can't tell you what the time frame is going to be because I don't know when the controller's office is going to be, you know, available to do this, but I'm not going to do it without the controller's office signing off.
Well, you know, I guess I would want to know a lot of things. I'd want to know pros and cons. to me, it's like, how does the left hand know what the right hand is doing? I would want to know how, then the right hand and the left hand, how do they stay in touch? I would need to know that. And you said Libby recommends it, but I would want to know based on what and exactly what that conversation, how that goes. I wouldn't want to be in a hurry. And I would want Shirley's input.
I don't know that we can put a time frame on it at this point in time. I would hope we could by the next meeting. But I can't, I can't speak for the controller's office.
We should certainly be able to know a time frame by the next meeting.
That's what I'm saying.
I think too. I mean, Libby is in the business and job of developing job descriptions. I think at the same time, she could be reaching out to these comparable cities and acquiring job descriptions and providing those for us as well.
I will ask her to do that. And I think she has in some manner. I don't know how deep involved she's done that. But I would like to see the cities and hear what they have to say. Anybody else? Nothing come for Finance Committee, return.
I guess, or No- or Nolan,
It's a joint enterprise.
or Tim.
The memo that matters is addressed to Katie from DOT. And they say in relevant part, enclosed is the legal description for the property that the city acquired that is required to be dedicated for right-of-way purposes to DOT for the widening of Magnus Drive and the opening of the control of access fence on the Highway 70S bypass at that red light intersection. Two things to point out that are not necessarily very clear. One is that the land will remain the property of the city. In other words, they've sent us a legal description that we'll use to prepare a deed of conveyance from the city to TDOT. But we are conveying or dedicating that land described in that description for the purpose of right of way. We are not conveying title to it in fee simple absolute. So as the memo from TDOT points out, quote, the land will remain the property of the city of McMinnville after completion of the project. That's probably not a distinction that's meaningful, but it's the legal title. They sent their own surveyed legal description. This is not something that we produced or generated, but I take no exception with it, comparing it to the plans that they also submitted in amended form. And this appears to be the final plan for the project, at least as it relates to the property we're dedicating for right of way. And I recommend, because TDOT has suggested in this correspondence that time is of the essence for the project to stay on track and continue on the timeline currently planned, that we approve it. We seek the approval of the full board and waive the second meeting requirement. Anybody have any questions?
We don't have this on the agenda tonight.
No, I was suggesting that the board might consider waiving
The rules.
the rule to that effect. And I think Nolan had some communication conversation with somebody at TDOT indicating that they view it with some urgency.
Okay,
The resolution needs to be passed before January 12th. So
we don't have one written up in preparation.
We have it, yes, right.
We do have a resolution
Well,
that
maybe
it
that's
would
what you said.
waive the rules.
Maybe what we have is the legal description to do the resolution. So I'll make sure that we have the resolution in proper form for the next meeting. I assume we are having our next regular meeting on the 28th.
yes, sir.
We are on the 29th.
I mean, if there's not any business to come before the board, we don't have to meet.
You
Well,
can have
we
it on
just-
the 11th, but still have it by the 12th. Next January meeting's on the 11th, and that would be before the 12th.
That's correct.
So we could do the resolution on January the 11th.
If that's the next regular meeting, so be it.
Okay.
Is that quick enough to actually transmit it down there and everything? I mean, you're doing it on the evening of the 11th.
Yeah, it just says resolution needs to be passed. So, yeah,
Oh, you don't have to necessarily communicate it. to them, just-
I mean, I can email it to them that night.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that would be acceptable.
Okay, it'll be ready for the mayor's signature then at the meeting on the 11th.
Yeah.
If something, if you learn that it's not soon enough, we can always call a meeting at the end of December.
Or if we have that 28th meeting.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
If they talk about a start time, Kate,
It's June.
okay, I had heard about, I think you told me it was around 6 months, so that would be.
Yeah. Somewhere around there.
I suppose you should you should pass a motion to put this on the meeting January 11th as a resolution
To refer it to the board.
to, yeah,
Or
to
the next meeting.
the motion to dedicate the property described in the legal description provided by TDOT to the state of Tennessee for purposes of right of way.
I'll make that motion then. We refer that to the board. You can
Recommendation to the board, yeah.
second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. There's nothing further. Committee meetings adjourned.
Shorty candy.
Once I start, I think start. I'll go through. Around. Okay, it's 6:45 and I'd like to call the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the master plan contract. And I think Justin Scott's here to kind of walk us through that.
Thank you. Michael Benushis, does everyone have a copy of this that's should have been in your packet? Thank you. So as you have in front of you, the Reagan Smith and Associates, we have had the opportunity to meet with them. They actually were selected by the city of McMinnville to complete the master plan for our Parks and Recreation master plan. This is a grant, the 2020 Healthy Built Environment Grant with the state of Tennessee. It's in the amount of $48,000. And again, they were selected. And we've had the opportunity to have a kickoff meeting with them, myself, Mr. Ming, Michael Benushis, Scott McCord, Katie Kamisis. We were able to meet with them, Kevin Roberts, and look at our inventory, what we have, the existing parks that we have. We were able to look at maps and look at other areas that we felt that we could develop or that we could create ADA accessibility or safety, create general safety conditions that we needed to upgrade, things like that. So we were able to look at those things, and it was a very productive meeting. With this agreement or contract that you have in front of you, it just kind of lays out what their scope of services is. Item number one, the inventory and analysis of our current park conditions and facilities. Number two is the opportunities and constraint assessments, what our future needs could be, and based on the data collected from the inventory and the analysis phase. You've got number three, which is the findings and recommendations, proposed facility changes and expansions. And then item number four is the final comprehensive plan. You can also see that in this, they're looking at having public meetings, which I'm really excited about to see what our community is looking for, and so again, this is a $48,000 grant. As you can see on the last page, the compensation, their scope of service, they will provide a lump sum fee of $50,000. So there's a $2,000 difference, and I've been able to meet with Mr. Pirtle on that. He's reviewed this and looked at this, and so there's a $2,000 difference there that the city Parks and Rec Department of the city of McMinnville would be responsible for out of pocket.
And the request is to accept the contract.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
When would it be finished?
I believe they were shooting for fall 2022 to be finished.
And start.
As soon as the master plan is completed and we have the recommendations from them, they'll present everything to us, and then we'll bring it to the board for adoption. And then once the plan's adopted, then we'll have the opportunity to apply for larger grants.
No, I mean, when are they going to start the project?
Oh, starts project as soon as the contract is accepted. Perfect.
So it sounds like this is having a master plan, a strategic plan allows us to show grants that we've done our due diligence and preparation. We're just like picking a spot.
Right.
We have a long-term strategy and vision.
Right. We didn't just look at our existing parks and the parks that we have now. We were looking at other areas throughout the city that we could develop or, you know,
Parks.
correct.
Yeah.
And we were looking at how to connect those trails and greenways and blueways and just how we could pull it all together. We didn't just look at our complex and what we offer there. We were looking at expansion. So.
Right, because there's other places in the city that are not park heavy. We have, you know, kind of park heavy right here, but
Right.
Out toward the bypass.
yes, and would like to have some access to some green spaces in different spots located throughout the city. We also talked in planning commission about how kind of the new generations are, that's what they prefer, is a green space to go to. And Mr. Baird was talking about how that's kind of the new trend. So, and then we've got the blueways and the bikeways, and I'm assuming that this is, like I said, the master plan to tie it together and make it all work better.
Right.
So I don't see how.
So
we
you
can-
are looking at other places that could be parks, not just what we've got right now.
because
We're
the-
looking at areas, like you said, north of the bypass, just places that aren't parks heavy and places where we can expand to where they are underserved and we can better serve our community as a whole. So
I would, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would imagine that, you know, as you all identify those areas that are not park heavy, you'll develop ideas with a variety of costs of, okay, we're gonna open this up, it's gonna be mowed and it's gonna have a couple benches, or it's gonna have a walking trail, or it's gonna have a $200,000 swing set and play set.
Infrastructure, yeah.
So you'll have a variety of options
Mhm.
at these different parks.
Yes.
And some of these green spaces could even be just reading area, you know, there's little nooks and crannies all over.
Right.
So I don't see how we can go wrong.
Mr. Recorder, is this one of those grants that the city pays in advance and then recovers after the fact?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen the grant documents.
Does it say, I didn't read it, does it say in there, I think if we pay the grant, sometimes these grants, the state will pay the employee consultant directly, and I'm not sure if that's the case here now, or if we're paying. I believe it said something about invoices monthly.
Yes.
It does.
It does.
And it doesn't say in that paragraph whether the invoicing asked for it to say.
Invoices will be submitted monthly and are due and payable within 30 days of the invoice date.
Then you might want to
I'd
make
say
this
we
as
probably
a
have to pay them and
recommendation
get rid of it.
of this committee to the full board, since you're gonna write $50,000 worth. of money
Unless they're
before
tied
you
in with the grant,
Getting it
people,
back.
we would be paying them, I'm sure. That's just a cash flow problem, though.
Well, it's a resolution issue.
Yeah.
But this board can approve it if it's $2,000, but if it's 50 paid out, recovered later, it needs to be recommended to full board in the form of a resolution.
So is that all we do is recommend it to the board? We don't,
Tonight,
do I need a motion? for
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll
to
make a
do-
motion. We recommend accepting this contract, recommend that to the full board.
Second.
So I have a motion and I have a second. So all in favor of recommending that to the full board, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there any further discussion on that? The second item on the agenda is the approval of the corporate wellness plan. I think Justin's going to do that too.
Yes, so myself and Marilyn Wilson were able to put together this is something I've been passionate about since I started with the rec department, and we had something in place a couple of years ago, and it was good, but we've looked to revamp this. And so as you can see, we've come up with some pricing tiers. And what we would like to do is to try to partner with corporate businesses and offer memberships, annual memberships to those businesses. We have monthly, 6-month, and yearly passes now for adult, family, senior individual, senior couple, youth, and children. But this is obviously going to be offered to the employees only. And what we would like to do is then have a family add-on that could be available to those employees to upgrade their family to be able to use our facility for the actual price of what our family pass is. The things that it would include would be obviously discounted family memberships, our group exercise classes, access to personal trainers, racquetball, tennis, basketball, and the walking track. So
Is this paid by the employer or paid by the employee?
employer,
And are you requiring, so if there's a business that had 30 employees, you'd require them to have all employees enrolled?
well, we would like to have all the employees, yes. And in our experience in this, we typically have a lot that will start and then they will fall off as time goes on. What we're hoping to encourage the employer is that, as you can see, workplace wellness programs are known to increase productivity, reduce absenteeism, and lower insurance claims. So that's one thing that we're really focusing on with what we offer at our facility.
And so I feel like with, let's say we have an employer that has 25 employees and all 25 of those employees, let me think of a different number. But you have a company that has 100 or more.
Mhm.
And only one of their employees, they offer to all their employees, and only one of them does it. They get $230, but then we have a business down here that has 49 employees and all 49 sign up, but they're charged $255. So, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there that's not necessarily, we want to get the employers to be encouraged to participate.
That's true.
Per employee though, isn't it?
It is per employee.
So you could choose, if you had 100 employees, but you only wanted to be in tier 2 or tier 1, you could make that choice. Is that correct or not?
Yes. As we've got tier 2, 50 to 100 employees, they would get per employee, it would be $240 for the year. Yes.
So that tier is not the company tier, it's how many they actually say they're going to sign up.
Yes.
Enroll. Okay.
Yes.
So it's enrollment based, not
Yes.
total employee based.
Correct.
I
Sorry.
like that.
Yes. And again, they can add on to get their family on. We knew that would be something that we would be asked. We knew they would come in and be like, hey, I've got 3 kids and a wife and they want to join. And so they would just pay the difference. The employee would pay the difference and it would create a family pass for that family. So
Technology wise, you guys are ready for all that?
I believe so.
You've never had this before on employees?
So we did have this again many years ago, and we offered it to at the time it was a school system and Ben Lomond were the 2 that we had, and we based it on you needed this many people to participate in the program, otherwise it would kind of fall apart. And it was good. It started strong, and then as time went on, you know how people get busy and then they stop coming, and we tracked those numbers, and as those numbers started to decline, then it just kind of went away. And then it's something that, again, being in a new facility, I wanted to see if we could bring it back.
What's a normal price of it per year?
For an individual?
Yeah.
$270. So these tiers are based on 5, 10, and 15% discount.
Have you run this by any companies?
We have actually, we've reached out just to throw out a few, NHC, Bridgestone. I believe we reached out to Eurozoo. I know we've reached to the school system and Ben Lomond. We sent them emails just letting them know that we had a package. Obviously, we weren't going to do anything with them until this was approved, but we just kind of wanted to get it out there just to see what kind of interest we had. I've not been contacted yet, but that was sent out 2 weeks ago. So who we felt we should reach out to. We were trying to go to their human resources or to whoever was in charge of,
I assume the company would be if they decide they want to charge their employee, or have the employee pay half of it or a certain percentage of it, you don't care.
I don't care. That's right. And again, all we're going to require is they come in, they show us proof that they work for this company, and we'll create their pass. So.
So do we have a motion for the approval of the corporate wellness plan?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Justin.
Is there any other business to come before this meeting?
Go back up for a second. How are the sound deadening qualities of in the room doing? Is it working, or do we need more? Or?
I think it's working. I think we're looking into getting a few more that we could possibly place in the ceiling. The ones on the wall, from what I've gathered from instructors and folks that are attending our classes, it seems to be helping. It's not bouncing all over the place. So. Yes, sir. Okay.
If there's no other, that's okay. If there's no other business to come before this committee, I'll call it adjourned.
It's 7 o'clock. We'll call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the McMinnville City Board of Mayor and Aldermen. The first item on the agenda is roll call. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is consideration of minutes. Everyone should have received those from last meeting in their packet. If there be no requests for additions, corrections, or deletions, I'll entertain a motion to dispense with those as read.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Everett Brock, second by Ms. Rachel Kirby. All in favor of approval? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is recognition of visitors. If anyone wishes to address the board, please approach the podium and state your name for the record.
Michael Venusius, 500 Garfield Street. I wanted to recognize the 2021 McMinnville Christmas Parade winners. I realized that I didn't get it on the agenda in time, so I wanted to go ahead and recognize the winners that confirmed with me that they would be here tonight. So we have People's Choice plus school sponsored first place Warren County Middle School cheerleaders. They won an amount of $400. So cheerleaders, if you're here, come on up. School sponsored third place Warren County High School softball team, if they're here as well. No. Okay, and then small club nonprofit, less than 20 members, second place was Girl Scout Troop 839.
Ladies. Can we get a picture?
Yeah, sure thing.
Can you hold it so I can-
You want to show the check?
I'll hold it back. Ready? Say cheese, girls. Cheese. Say thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Your cousin Eddie win?
Who?
Cousin Eddie?
They did. Yeah,
Oh,
they
good.
got first place. in the business.
Oh, good.
So, I didn't hear back from them.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good there.
It was so good.
Anyone else wish to address the board this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 4, recognition of visitors. We have several department heads here this evening. If anyone wishes to recognize employees, time is now.
I would just like to recognize our administrator who was out Saturday morning. I know stormwater's been something that we've been trying to emphasize, and it's good to get that report when the rain was coming down. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Tonight I would like to recognize three of our officers for their accomplishments. First, Officer Taylor Van Bommel, which she has been with the McMinnville Police Department since January 2018. She has recently completed all the classes, practical exercises, and testing to become a certified drug recognition officer. A drug recognition officer is a police officer trained to recognize impairment in drivers under the influence of drugs in addition to alcohol. With more and more cases involving prescription and illegal drugs, a drug recognition expert is high in demand. The drug recognition officer expert goes to crash scenes, hospitals, and jails to conduct evaluations and to make expert opinions. It is found that when a drug recognition expert is involved in a DUI case, a conviction in court is much more likely. The prerequisites of becoming a drug recognition expert are must have completed 24 hours DUI detection class and also the 16-hour advanced impaired driving enforcement class. These are recommended by the agency and the district attorney's office. The drug recognition expert course consists of 9 days of classroom instruction covering physiology, vital signs, standardized field sobriety testing, extensive information on the 7 categories of drugs. Then there's the certification phase. After completing the academic phase, the officer must complete 12 evaluation of persons who may be under the influence of drugs or while under the supervision of a DRE instructor and pass the final knowledge exam. Officer Van Bommel is now the newest member of the 31st Judicial District Drug Recognition Expert Team. We have the THSO Awards. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office this month at the Cumberland Region Banquet awarded 2 of our officers awards. First Officer Maggie Fan, who has been with the department since January 2020, was awarded the Save a Life Award. On August 28th, Officer Maggie Fan was en route to McMinnville Police Department to prepare for duty. On her way, she noticed a vehicle on the side of the roadway and thought the occupants needed help. She pulled up and found the driver to have overdosed on unknown substance, later found to be a narcotic analgesic. Whatever. The driver was not breathing and unresponsive. She was able to drag the driver out of the vehicle, administer Narcan, and perform CPR until EMS arrived. This was by no means a simple task, since the driver was at least doubled her weight. Maggie Fan was nominated for the award by supervisors, and it was presented at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office Cumberland Region Banquet. That is Maggie. Lieutenant Mark Mora, he was awarded the Drug Recognition Officer Award. Lieutenant Mora has been a member of the McMinnville Police Department since January of 1998. Lieutenant Mark Mora was presented an award for his accomplishment as a drug recognition expert for 2021. The award was given by Tennessee Highway Safety Office Drug Recognition Expert Coordinator Tony Burnett. Lieutenant Mark Mara was recognized for his commitment, dedication, and proficiency as a DRE. To this date, from 2013, he has completed 473 evaluations, testified as an expert witness as a DRE in Warren County and Van Buren County several times. He has done evaluations for Tennessee Highway Patrol, Warren County Sheriff's Office, Van Buren County Sheriff's Department, and Tennessee Wildlife Resources. It's smart, Lieutenant Mora. We're very proud of these officers' achievements and dedication to the community that they serve.
Congratulations. Any other department heads wish to recognize employees? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 5, communications. There are none. Did any come in after? No. Item 6 is petitions. There are none. Item 7 is unfinished business. Does any member of the board have any unfinished business to discuss this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, new business. The only thing that I have to go under new business is that, given the fact that there's no business to come before the board for the next allotted meeting time, December 28th, I would require a motion and a second and a vote to forego that meeting before we reconvene on January 11th. Have a motion by Mr. Stacy Harvey. Second by Mr. Everett Brock. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Is any other?
I do have one, Mr. Mayor. I've been contacted by a constituent that I believe, and I've been out of touch lately with some family health issues, but I believe some of the citizens got a copy of a stormwater report that came out. Was there some things sent out?
There was an email sent out Friday.
Okay, I didn't see that, but one of the questions that I got was, what's next? You know, how are the, what is this going to look like? What are the funding mechanisms? What should they expect next? And I didn't have that answer, so I thought I would bring it tonight so we can find some way to inform the folks that received that email about the next steps.
That wasn't the whole report that we've got coming, was it? I thought it was just.
No, there's a weekly report that I send out, and then there's this one that I've asked Lyndon to send out to specific people that were interested in specific issues. Can't recall who else on the board might have received that.
But it
But
doesn't have anything to do with the project we've got going
With James C. Haley.
with James C. Haley, right?
that was included in that.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, that's not their report. It's just a.
That's right. It's just a general, here's what's happening in stormwater.
Okay, so it should be considered just an update, and there will be more updates forthcoming. That no bearing on any of the overarching study with James C. Haley. That's not complete at this time, and no action is required or recommended at all. That's still in process.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
that's
a monthly update that I've asked Lyndon to send out. So
Thank you very much. I just didn't have the information, and I wanted to be able to give that to the constituents.
I can forward that to you all.
Thank you.
I guess, can you give a little bit? I know you sent me several videos and pictures on Saturday. It's obviously not where we want it, but at least from what you sent me, it looks better. Is that accurate?
On Morrison Street?
And on Pierce Street as well.
It's hard to know for sure because I don't have data on what the previous rain events were, what the rain amount was, the length of time and that kind of thing to compare. But the video that I sent was good.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any flooding going across Morrison Street, nothing going up into the houses. We're hoping that some of the small things that Frank and his crew and Ricky and his crew have worked together to get done are going to have an impact. There's still a few more small things we can do, but we're trying to go slow and understand what we do and the response. So did this work? Did this work? Unfortunately, we've got to wait for a big rain to understand that.
Gotcha.
So that's why I went out there. I said, we got to have video of it.
Yeah, after I saw it, I went out there and actually looked
Well, there
myself.
seemed to be a lot of water and it seemed to be flowing very well, and it was not over the road and it was not into structures. So I guess that's a start.
Yeah, it was a good rain event.
Especially
So-
the one out on Marsh Road. I mean, that was flowing well.
Yeah,
And there's so much water coming out of the entrance at the concrete plant. If they could divert some of that, that would take about a third of the water away from there because it's coming out of their driveway, going into the going into the ditch and then taking a drain and going right back in the same direction that it's coming from.
and that's one of the main takeaways that I took away from that visit and the video was there was a lot of water coming off that impervious 5 acres of,
And not going into their retention pond at all. It's bypassing that retention pond.
it's coming right out onto the street into the ditch, which, I mean,
Comes
that's
right out of
good
their
too,
driveway.
but
I mean, you can see where it's going right into the ditch and back out,
yeah,
but it was
So-
flowing good, you know.
yeah, we're making progress.
All right, great. Thank you for that. I just didn't know what to.
I'll send that email to you
Thank you
all.
very much.
Any other new business to come before the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 9, resolutions. Item 9A is resolution number 2152, a resolution to authorize the city of McMinnville, Tennessee to join the state of Tennessee and other local government as participants in the Tennessee State Subdivisions Opioid Abatement Agreement and approving the related settlement agreements, and to express the time when the resolution becomes effective. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Stacy Harvey,
Second.
second by Ms. Sally Brock. Discussion on the matter.
This board has entertained the subject of entering into originally a class action lawsuit filed against opiate manufacturers primarily, along with distributors, along with prescribers, along with some retail drugstores. Litigation was filed in federal courts and state courts all across the country, but eventually most of it was consolidated when those parties responsible for putting opiates into the marketplace filed a Chapter 11 reorganization, which froze practically all of that litigation around the country and brought it under one court roof. This is not about that. That process that is now Chapter 11 would require the city, if it chose to participate in the litigation for any possible recovery, to have some evidence of damages incurred as a result of the opioid epidemic. As you heard a few years ago from a limited engagement that this board made with the law firm of Gallagher and Newman, they could not, based on their investigation, I think they talked with law enforcement as well as EMS, as well as other agencies, and they really couldn't put a number on or a hard cost incurred on dealing with this epidemic from a city standpoint. Now, the county operates EMS and incarcerates persons who are arrested in connection with the use of opioids, but the city really, as it were, had no hard numbers, and to my knowledge still has no hard numbers or calculations or even an algorithm to calculate damages. The notice that we received most recently is not about that Chapter 11 reorganization case, which the city has not at this juncture elected to participate in. This is a lawsuit that was filed originally by the district attorney generals in most states, as opposed to the attorney generals for most states. And the court has concluded that the DAs lacked standing to bring the action, but the attorneys general for the states that had elected to participate had standing to negotiate some recovery. This summary puts the city on notice that if you are interested in participating in any recovery that stems from this litigation, which will have a maximum recovery of $613 million over 18 years, most of which will be dedicated to future opioid abatement and remediation programs. As in the tobacco litigation, smokers didn't get a check, but there were millions and hundreds of millions of dollars dedicated to education programs, youth avoidance programs, and that sort of thing. That's what we're talking about here. We don't have to file evidence of an amount of a claim. We will participate if we elect to do so, and we will participate in any recovery. And this summary sheet that was served with the notice is full of caveats and exceptions and reasons that you may not ever get anything. But you have no chance of ever getting anything if you don't elect to sign on with them now. It'll cost the city nothing out of pocket. Anything that you get, and there's not a timeline on it, will be a windfall. But there's no point in not sending in your lottery ticket, in my opinion.
What are the wishes of the board in this regard?
You're not spending any money, so it won't take more than this resolution.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like there's a downside.
Yeah.
Do we have to produce? I mean, there's nothing else that we have to produce. We don't
No.
have to produce any
There is, if you'll read the summary, and it's really, really technical. If you read the summary, they've come up with some algorithm where they're going to divide the money on a per unit basis between the states, and then it's going to filter down from the states to the localities or the municipalities that elect to participate.
Chief, may I ask you a question? You've been with our police force for a number of years. You know, have you seen the increased challenges with drugs, you know, over the life of this opioid crisis?
Yes.
Seems like no brainer.
Nothing lost, nothing gained, no expense. So there's no
Said
reason
it's a
in my
lottery
opinion,
ticket, it may produce, it may not.
it may not.
It'd be great to get some services or programs or
Education or
education
prevention
or
or
rehabilitation.
Narcan or
places, free Narcan for schools and law enforcement.
We have a motion and a second, and we'll call for the vote.
Stacy Harvey.
Aye.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Everett Brock,
All right.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby,
Yes,
Zach Sutton.
Aye.
Mayor Chester.
Aye, motion passes.
Your Honor, I may present this for your signature as January 5 deadline.
Item 10 is ordinances. There are none. Item 11 is departmental reports. If any department head wishes to address the board, please approach the podium.
A few different things going on. Michael did a great job with the Christmas parade on the different route that he'd taken, you know, how they lined up and stuff. So we didn't have that big of issue with traffic. There was a lot of participants, you know, a lot of candidate stuff, you know, but it was really good. There's a lot of people out for the parade. We had good weather. The Christmas in the park went well. This past Saturday, My Father's Closet, it's nonprofit. They asked us to participate in a Shop with the Cop for that program. I had participated in that years ago when we had the FOP, and it was really a great program. You know, we got kids' names and they got to shop, you know, for Christmas and things. So it was really good event. She needed 8. We had 13 of our own officers there that showed up Saturday morning at 6:30 in the morning at Walmart during that storm coming. But, you know, they had a good time and really enjoyed the families and the kids. And so after that, they had Toy Riot was Saturday, and it went well. So there was a lot of participants with the motorcycles and stuff. Didn't have any issues. So that's kind of what we did.
It's good to see our motorcycle.
Yeah, we'll get it
They'll
it
have
strapped up pretty soon.
They'll have fun.
Thank you, Chief.
I got a couple of things run by y'all. Trevor Young got a hold of me Monday and he want me to start doing a little training off the water tower, like we talked about. We got the waiver to him. He go get them all signed. I think it gonna be a rain out. The way they talking, it gonna rain most of the day Saturday, but it gonna happen. If it don't rain, they gonna be over coming off of it. And the second one, I'm gonna have my breakfast the 23rd down at the fire department. So I want invite everyone y'all and all the department head to come by if you can. Go have, I'm gonna try to have it done by at least by 7:30. And few of y'all been there before, and you know, not pretty good food we cook. So
23rd.
23rd, yeah, be next Thursday.
7:30.
I'm gonna try to have it done by 7:30, yes. So, like, and everything else is going good down there, so. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody else? Mr. Main.
City Christmas party is Thursday night at 6 o'clock. At the Milner Center. That's it.
Mr. Hurdle.
No.
Item 12 is announcements. Does any member of the board have announcements? Is it Hark at the Park?
Hark at the park.
Friday at 7.
7 o'clock. Tickets are going fast. You get them at the library, at the Park Theater, or at harkatthepark.com. Benefit concert for the library and Hamilton Street Activity Center.
And it's great. I think we resolved the pickleball and the tennis court problems, thank goodness. So the pickleball has now been, is it already painted on?
So Michael and I put floor tape on the auxiliary basketball court upstairs and removed the pickleball lines off the indoor tennis court. We have 2 courts upstairs and we set the nets up today, so it could look good.
So that's great. So it leaves the one tennis court and then 2 pickleball courts, not to bother each other.
Justin, did you hear anything back about the curtain in the main gym?
Yes, we did. So Mark Kale, head of maintenance, and myself met with Mike Brewer and Butch today from Sane. And we've made a phone call. We think there is a motor issue in that curtain. The curtain is down. We can't get it up. It's great for basketball, but it's not great for our Christmas party. So we will work that out. We may have to put games and Santa on one side and all the employees on the other, but we'll figure it out.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Justin. Any other announcements to come before the board? Hearing none, we'll stand adjourned.
The main concern was living, and she's confirmed that she's in Cleveland tonight. Tennessee, yeah. But she'll be there. Nine. Right over here in that little conference room.
I don't know when I graduated. I withdrew my courses back in the spring because I was so busy. I should be graduating right now.